Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're excited to kick off a new webinar series, Ask the Experts, where we do just that. We ask marketing experts some of the questions we hear from local businesses every day. I'm your host, Allison Phillips. I'm the marketing director on Cox Media's corporate marketing team, and I'll be facilitating today's conversation. You may also see the name Sarah Brassfield pop up in our chat box. Sarah's our content marketing manager, and she's going to be helping moderate the Q&A portion of our call. If at any time you have a question you'd like to ask one of our guests, just type it in the chat box and we'll spend some time answering those at the end of the call. This series is all about answering your questions and providing some inspiration and creative ideas, so the more questions we get, the better. Don't hold back. In my career and frankly in my lifetime, I've never seen anything quite like what we're facing today, and I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. In the best of times, it can be difficult to find creative ways to reach your customers and grow your business. Add a global pandemic to the equation, and I'm sure it can feel downright overwhelming at times. Over the past few weeks, we've received a lot of questions from local businesses on how to weather this storm and come out stronger on the other side. The questions vary, but they're all looking for guidance and creative ideas. So we decided to tap into our network of really talented marketing minds to provide just that. We might not have all the answers, but we certainly want to help where we can. Today we have two guests with nearly 45 years of combined experience in marketing. They're both members of the Cox Media Phoenix team, and they spend nearly every day coming up with unique and creative ideas for local businesses. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Amber West and Bill Ottinger.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, excited to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Amber, let's start with you. Can you tell everyone a little about your background and how you support local businesses in your day-to-day?
Yeah, of course. So I've been in marketing and advertising for a little over 13 years. The past 7 I've spent with Cox Media, but previous to that, I actually started on the agency side. And so I spent most of my agency time with a local shop that focused really on travel and tourism. And so it was a really fun job. I got to work with hotels and resorts all across the country, and then a variety of small to medium-sized businesses as well. And then here at Cox Media, I'm the manager of the marketing and client solutions team. And so I'm just one piece of a much larger group of marketing minds. And really, our team's goal is to just help. And so we like to say that we're here to be an extension of the client's own marketing team. And really what that looks like depends on the client that we're working with. But a lot of what the team does ties back to research, because we're fortunate enough to have access to a lot of really great research tools. So we spend a lot of time analyzing consumer research and really digging deep into our clients' customers and trying to figure out what makes them tick. And that really helps us drive creative strategy and message strategy. And then, of course, idea generation is a huge part of marketing. And so we spend a lot of time just listening to our clients and trying to be a sounding board and help them solidify ideas to come up with new solutions that are going to help move their business forward.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you're here today, to really dive in and talk about some of the ideas that businesses across the country have come up with to keep things moving forward. So we're excited to have you. Bill, moving over to you, can you tell the audience a little about your background and your role here at Cox Media?
Absolutely. I've been in marketing almost 30 years, including time in branding and promoting local broadcast news, TV news affiliates, as well as creating advertising campaigns for a wide variety of clients. Now, here at Cox Media, I'm the director of Cox Creative Studios, and we have a wonderfully talented team, and we serve as a full-service creative department, full scale, full scope, developing custom creative campaigns across all platforms, and we use a variety of methods from live action shoots to full animations to digital advertising. And for us, we launched a what we call Lead with the Idea. It's an approach that we launched about 7-8 years ago, and it gets our customers talking to us about the what ifs and the possibilities. We like to start these conversations early in the relationship as possible, as early in the relationship as possible. Excuse me. Some of the best information comes from those conversations, and we focus on connecting that with how our customers can bring value to the lives of the folks at home. In other words, can we convey to that person watching, that potential customer, how that product will bring value to their life? For example, save them money, protect their family, be healthier, happier, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I love the concept of leading with the idea. I think many of us would probably agree that we could use some fresh ideas right about now, because these are, for lack of a better word, unprecedented times. As the country fights the spread of COVID-19 and various states are in different stages of reopening, many local businesses are either required to keep their doors closed or they're choosing to remain closed to protect their employees and their communities. Even those businesses deemed essential are really having to rethink how they provide goods and services to their customers. One of the questions we've been hearing most from local businesses recently is, how can I generate business when my doors are closed? Amber, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so like you said, Allison, this is like nothing any of us have ever seen before. I mean, we're all adjusting personally at home. And so businesses have to adjust as well, because what worked for them just a few months ago isn't going to work now. And so the good news is that we've seen a lot of businesses start to shift in the way that they're doing things, and they're seeing some success in doing so. So I would say to businesses, when they're thinking about how they can shift, I would just keep a couple of things in mind. And the first would be authentic. In a moment, we're going to talk through some very specific examples of businesses that we think are really getting it right. And I would definitely say that authenticity is a part of each and every one of those stories. So just stick with what you're good at and really think through your knowledge and try and create something that's going to be helpful to your consumers as they try and navigate what normal looks like today. The next is be helpful and make it easy. I would say that our lives have become so difficult all of a sudden. Am I right? I mean, we can't get toilet paper. I've been searching for Lysol wipes for a month and I cannot find any. So, there's a lot of us who are working from home and trying to juggle taking care of small children. We can't order something on Amazon and have it shipped to us in 24 hours like we're used to. So I would say there's really that opportunity for businesses to come in. And if you can make my life just a little bit more easy, then I think you'll see some success in that. The next is offer an escape. People miss normal. I read a study the other day that said something like 2/3 of Americans wish they were talking about something other than the coronavirus. And I definitely know that's true in my own life. It has capitalized every single conversation that we've had. So I think there's really an opportunity here for businesses to come in and offer something that's light and fun and can kind of take our mind off of what we're going through right now, keeping in mind that we're all sort of stuck within our own homes. And then the last piece of advice I would offer is goodwill, and this is probably the most important one. I think it's human nature that we want to do something to help, and right now many of us feel helpless. So companies that can offer the average consumer a way to feel like they're doing something to help out have actually gotten a lot of attention lately. One of my favorite examples of this is the Manhattan pizza chain that came up with a great way of doing this. And essentially what they did is every time somebody called in to order a pizza, they would ask, hey, do you want to order an additional pizza for your local hospital staff? We'll take care of delivering it for you. And I think this is so smart. It's really a win-win-win. The pizza company were able to do something great for their community. The consumer got that feel-good moment of they did something to help, and then it definitely didn't hurt that they doubled their sales. And that idea has been so popular that they've actually struck a partnership with Citibank, and they've brought the concept to Virginia and Maryland and DC and Pennsylvania. So I think the fact that it's grown so quickly, so fast, really tells us that consumers are looking for this type of thing. So businesses that can facilitate a similar offering, I think will, one, be able to find a creative new revenue stream, and two, generate some positive brand equity while they're doing it.
Yeah, that's, excuse me, that's such a good example of how businesses, really no matter their size, are getting creative with how they keep things going, even when their physical locations are closed. I think you have some other examples to share too, right?
I do. And this first one is actually my favorite because it really hits off on all of the elements that we just discussed. And so it's a popular London brewery, and what they're doing is they're offering a pub in a box. It's packed full of everything that you would think of that you might need if you wanted to recreate your favorite bar in your own living room. And so here you can see all of the things that the box would include, the things that you might expect. Obviously, there's signature beer, but it does come with the bar glass, the bar mat, some snacks. But they've got your entertainment covered as well. So they'll send out a curated Spotify playlist and even a music-themed pub quiz. And it's so fun because it can feel like you're out at a pub doing trivia, but you're right there in your own living room. The thing, though, that I think is most unique about what this company is doing is they're actually paying local musicians who've had their tours canceled to deliver these boxes locally. And so I just think this example really works. It's authentic. They focused on what they know best, which is beer and music. It definitely offers that escape. It's fun, it's light, it can take your mind off of what you're going through. They've made it super easy. You just go to the website, choose which box you want, and boom, it's delivered to your door. And Goodwill might not be the first thing that you think of with this example, but I think the fact that they're offering that paycheck to those musicians who are out of work really gives the consumer that feel-good moment that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's such a cool example. I know a lot of folks are missing the atmosphere of being at their favorite restaurants or bars right now. I mean, I know my family is. So recreating that experience, at least as much as possible, and doing some good for the community in the process, like such a cool idea.
And then this next example is one from the home services category. It's a pool supply company, and I've actually seen a lot of pool supply companies that have done a great job at shifting. But this particular example, I think, really simplified it for the consumer. And so you go to their website and called out very specifically, we have curbside service available. And actually, if you click on that link, it will take you to a short video that will walk you through the exact process of how their curbside works. So I think that was really smart. And then next, they show you that they have an app where you can do your water testing right at home. And I don't know how many of you have tried to care for your own pool, but my husband and I bought a house with a pool about 1.5 years ago, and I swear we needed our chemistry degree to figure out the levels of the chlorine and everything that we needed. So this is definitely something I would have taken advantage of had I had known it existed. And then they're also calling out that they're still doing the free water testing in store, just thinking about consumers who might not be tech savvy and don't want to download an app on their phone. They have the ability to just bring their water into their location, and they'll have a consultant test it for them, call them on the phone, and just walk them through exactly what they need to purchase. And again, they've made it easy. So you could order that order right on the phone call and then swing back around and do curbside pickup if you'd like, or you could go to their website and order everything to be shipped directly to you at no charge. And then the last thing that this company has done really well is provided some great DIY resources. So just knowing that people are probably more apt to want to do things themselves right now, they offer their expertise and knowledge. And I think as businesses start to reopen and consumers start to go back into the marketplace, I think they'll remember those businesses that were super helpful to them. So I think this is a smart play. And then lastly, they've just done a really great job of not only creating those DIY resources, but pushing them out through social media so that people know they're available. And then the last example that I have comes from the automotive industry, obviously an industry that's been hit particularly hard from this pandemic. And we've actually seen a lot of local dealers get super creative in their offering. This particular example is one from a local dealer who's offering completely free interior steam sanitization to anyone. I mean, they will literally come to your house, pick up your vehicle, take it, sanitize it, and then bring it back and drop it off at no charge. It's their way of doing what they can to help the community, but it's also a way that they can keep their employees working. They've started to offer this to hospital groups and businesses as well, which I think is really smart, because as we start to think about reopening, this could really become a great non-traditional revenue source for companies, or for them, because there are so many companies out there that have fleets of vehicles that it might be smart for them to get them sanitized before they push them back out onto the roads. So I think it's a really smart play.
Yeah, such a good idea. And honestly, as a mom to twin toddlers, that's a service that I'd be interested in long after COVID-19. We can always use our car getting sanitized from Cheerios and things like that. But
right?
Yeah, Bill, from a creative perspective, what are some ways businesses have been adjusting their messaging or their visuals in their marketing efforts, given the circumstances we're living in right now?
Well, first let me say those examples that Amber shared are perfect examples of how these advertisers have found ways to show their customers how they can bring value to their lives, which I think you're going to see as a recurring theme through these next few examples. Luckily, the coronavirus hasn't put a damper on creativity. If anything, I think it's maybe reignited creativity. I mean, we're seeing operatic concerts held from balconies, tons of user-generated content to capture emotion and show the new normal, and a lot of thank you messages, especially to healthcare heroes that are working the front line. In my research, there was a writer at edage.com who said he believes this crisis has brought out the best in brands, and he goes on to say, we're experiencing empathy, humility, and utility on a scale rarely, if ever, seen before. And just, a note of warning to any advertiser, I'd be careful not to come across as self-serving as you do that, because that might rub customers the wrong way. But being able to show your brand promise in action, I think, is really important. And I think Amber's examples and these ones coming up underscore that. One such example we have is from the UK, from the other side of the pond. Food Love Stories is the campaign from Tesco. It's a British supermarket, and it features people dedicating their cooking to those they're missing. It focuses on the role the grocer's food plays in people's lives by utilizing a compilation of user-generated clips of people cooking and baking in isolation, and then dedicating their recipes to loved ones they can't be with at this time. And some of the things I love about it, and I think the audience is, it's resonated with the audience too, is it's authentic. There's emotion to it, and better yet, it encourages us to think about how the product brings value to our lives, which is the goal of any good creative. And again, that brand promise, what is it? What is your brand promise, and can you show customers how you're living up to it in a way that brings value to them?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed seeing the ads that feature selfie videos. People filming themselves or others that they're quarantined with, because like you said, it's so real and we can all relate to it because we're all in the same boat. But tying it back to how the product that Tesco provides brings value to the end customer, I mean, that seems like it's what really makes that masterful.
Well, I agree. And, and then right now, food is such a big part of the whole quarantine situation, right? Baking is such a big part of everybody's lives. So, and people, I think, are finding a way to connect with each other through food and sharing food and things like that. So I think they really hit on to something special there. This next example I like is from John Deere. I think we all know John Deere. Their tagline is "Nothing runs like a deer." And while to many of us, the world may feel like it's standing still, John Deere insists it's a whole different story if you look to the land. In a series of these beautifully crafted images, we see the product at work, we see people at work, they're mowing, seeding, feeding. And the idea is we're all moving forward with the help of the John Deere. It's sunny, and if anybody, who works with me can tell you, I love sunshine and spots because it's bright, it's optimistic, it feels good, right? And in part, these spots show that life is moving forward, work is getting done, and at its core, that's the American spirit alive and well, right? So that makes us feel good, and when we're feeling good, we show them the logo, and people associate that great feeling with that brand.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think we could all use a little optimism and hope right now. So I can see how something that focuses on moving forward, whether literally or figuratively, would really resonate with folks right now. I think you have one more example.
I do. And this one is another one about food, but this is so different, and it's just fun and just another way to resonate with the audience, right? To identify with them. And I don't know, you might be familiar with Moe's Southwest Grill. They have locations that are closed right now, except maybe for takeout only. But like other restaurants, they're finding new ways to connect with customers and create some mouth-watering demand for their food. Now, with the help of the creative agency, and this is where creative agencies can really come in handy in helping you, generate new ideas and concepts in maybe untraditional ways. They come up with this concept of an 8-hour video loop, for heaven's sakes. But it's of Moe's famous queso slowly drizzling off a tortilla chip that a customer can meditate to. You have the hand holding the chip, it slowly dips into the queso and slowly pulls out. It's quite lovely. And then the video's caption on YouTube says, "Sleep well and dream of endless fountains of queso while you meditate to it." The agency that created it said it's a way to connect Moe's customers and give them a much needed break while also staying true to the brand's overall edgy tone. So now with that, I'm going to head down to the kitchen, get some chips and some cheese. So if you need me, call me down there.
I hear you, Bill. As an avid queso eater myself, this one really resonated with me, especially coming off of Cinco de Mayo yesterday. It's funny, but it's also really clever. It seems like they're acknowledging that we're all experiencing higher levels of stress and anxiety right now, and approaching it in a more lighthearted way that gives us a laugh, but also that craving for queso.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for sharing your time and expertise. You've given us some really great ideas on how businesses can continue generating revenue, even if their doors are closed, or if they're open, but having to adjust how they operate. We've got a few minutes left, so I'd like to use the rest of our time to open it up to questions. If you have a question for one of our experts, just go ahead and submit it using the chat box on your screen. Sarah, do we have any that have already come through?
It looks like we don't have any in there just yet, but I'll give it a couple minutes and keep monitoring this chat box.
Okay, great. It looks like we have one question that came in. If someone needs help, are you open to discussing ideas? Absolutely. I think that's really at the foundation of not just why we're hosting these webinars, but who we are as an organization. So I would certainly encourage you to reach out to your rep if you have one already at Cox Media, or you can reach out to any one of us through our website, and we'll make sure to connect you with somebody that can answer any questions you might have. And then it looks like we have another question for either one of you, Amber or Bill, whoever wants to take this one. Any recommendations for the attorney category?
Well, in terms of attorneys, we've had the good fortune of working with several, and we've done a wide range of creative for them. And one of the discussions that we've had with them is, and especially in this context, I think it's even more important, is discussing with them not just the standard fare for attorneys about the services, and that's like so many advertisers, talking about their services, and that's important. But in this context, maybe looking at one of the things that we've done in the past is looked at their why. Why are they in the business? What is it that drives them? That commitment to helping people who are, having trouble, who can't do it on their own. And, that's why I got into law. That's why I do what we do here at our law firm, and maybe turning their why into the centerpiece of their creative, and then tying that back to the value, the benefit that they bring potential clients. Does that make sense at all?
It does, yeah. While we've got your attention, Bill, I've got another question for you that I think is relevant because it comes from a creative perspective. But do you guys foresee any changes to the way creative will be perceived with the way that TV is being absorbed due to COVID? People are spending more and more time watching television. So how does creative need to adjust?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind, and Amber may have some keen insight into this too from her angle, but I think it's kind of keeping an ear to what's happening out there. She brought it up in her piece of the presentation about, we've kind of moved off the empathetic messaging a little bit. We all understand that situation, and now maybe we're shifting to a more positive and hopeful message, I believe. I know that, and we've even had some advertisers that are more about wanting just to kind of get back to regular messaging, which is an interesting take as well. So I think it's just kind of, keeping an ear to the ground about what's happening, how are things changing, and again, what do you do as an advertiser? What kind of product do you have? What's your brand promise, and how does that work as these appetites change, as the feelings change, in the marketplace and at homes? I think it's just being keeping your ears open and your eyes open to that shift, and trying to make it, trying to tie yourself into that in an advantageous way.
Makes a lot of sense. Amber, do you have any advice for pivoting fundraising events for a nonprofit that typically sees audiences of 500 to 2,000 people, knowing now that groups of that size can't get together? What advice would you maybe give to a nonprofit on how they can still host either fundraising events in the world of social distancing, or maybe some creative alternative ideas?
Yeah, I think all of us have really quickly become more tech savvy than maybe we were a few months ago. We're all doing, Zoom happy hours, and, my family has been playing House Party with the app, doing social distancing, but still having fun. So I think you just have to kind of think through, how can you use technology to still create something that's fun and meaningful, but have the ability to get people together. And right now, those video services, I think, is a great way to facilitate that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Someone typed in, as a marketing person myself, how might you suggest I reach out to potential clients? I think this is an important one because as marketers, we're often trying to soften the beachheads for our sales teams, or really communicate the value of the products or services we provide. Amber, any thoughts on tips and tricks for still communicating that value and still reaching out to prospective clients, maybe not existing clients, but maybe folks that you'd like to bring in the door, metaphorically speaking? How do you reach out to those folks without, while being empathetic and sensitive to the world we're living in right now?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, keep in mind and be mindful of what they're going through. So be empathetic and caring, and really listen to them, but also try and bring them some ideas without them even asking. I mean, I think just sitting back and kind of thinking through their business and trying to come up with some creative solutions that you can offer them for free without trying to sell them something can go a long way.
That's great. Thank you. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. We didn't get all of our questions answered, but we will make sure to document those and publish them along with the recorded version of this webinar. So be on the lookout for that. We'll make sure you guys have access to that. I hope you found this informative and inspiring and are walking away with some ideas that you can use for your own business. We'll be back again on May 20th. With our next episode, Connecting with Customers in New Ways. We're going to dive into how people are spending their time differently now and how that opens up a lot of new opportunities for businesses to connect with them. So we hope to talk with you all again then. Thanks again for joining us and have a great day, everyone.